Does the land investing community really need another podcast? I'll give you a hint. The answer is yes.
Welcome to the Land.MBA podcast, where we go deep into the business of land investing.
Hey everybody, I'm Howard Zonder, CEO and founder of LandSpeed, with my good friend David van Steenkiste, CEO and founder of Mile High Rural Land. And this is Land Investing 201. And this is our first podcast, hopefully of many. And we have to ask that really important question. Does the land investing community really need another podcast? I mean, there's a bunch out there, Dave. Do we really need another one?
Thing that you and I have talked about many times, and that there's something missing, and that is more content involving more advanced topics and a little bit more of the realistic side on the ugly side, the good, the bad, and the ugly of land investing.
That's exactly it. I mean, I listen to them all the time, and there are many good ones out there. But what I'm finding is that maybe it's just what the market is, but they're going after, it's the same newbie advice that you're hearing over and over again in maybe some different ways. And what I'm really hungry for are some of these more advanced topics, because I think, now there are so many investors out there that have been in the business for a while. They've bought some properties, they've sold some properties, they've demonstrated to themselves that this is a legit business that they want to pursue. So, while hearing the newbie stuff is good, I think there's this hunger for some more advanced topics based upon, higher level business skills that can be applied into the land business.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I think our intent is to discuss the business of land. We're taking business principles overall, from marketing to sales to logistics and due diligence and everything else. And we're taking those business principles and applying them to land versus the other way around. And I'm excited to discuss some of these topics. We've been at this a few years now, and I think we have a lot of experience to add for people, not just the fluff and you're going to make all this money and blah, 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 but the realistic side that, you can create nice income from this niche, but we're going to tell you straight up and talk about the troubles and bumps in the road that we've experienced, and hopefully give you some nuggets to help you prevent stepping on those same landmines.
Is it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to count on a job for our financial security? Who would have ever believed that we would go from the lowest unemployment in 50 years to 40 million people unemployed? Whether you have a great job and want to create a second income, or you're recently unemployed, you need to check out Land.MBA, your one-stop shop for land investors. Investing in vacant land is a proven business model that can help you build a reliable and scalable second income. Imagine a business where you love what you do. There's no limit on how much money you can make. You can operate your business from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And best of all, you can never be fired or downsized. If this sounds good to you, Land.MBA provides everything you need to get your business up and running and delivering income quickly. You get education, an end-to-end video course and optional coaching to help you get started faster and turn your energy into income. You get tools so you can automate and outsource the busy work and stay super organized. You get access to a thriving community of like-minded investors, which is a powerful way to share best practices and develop potential partnerships for growing your business. And finally, you get access to deal financing, so you never have to pass on a great investment opportunity due to limited funds. Our team has over a decade of real estate investing experience and has the knowledge and experience you need to help navigate any investing scenario. And with Land.MBA, we hold nothing back. Because there are no upsells, you get access to all of our combined knowledge right out of the gate. So don't wait to provide your family with financial freedom. Sign up today for Land.MBA's Soup to Nuts Land Investing video course. Just go to courses.land.mba and use coupon code FREEDOM to get 25% off. That's courses.land.MBA and coupon code FREEDOM. And let us help you say goodbye to your JOB and hello to financial freedom. Yeah, when I started several years ago, I came in and I find that some people just come in and instantly, wow, I just bought 7 properties. It's just amazing. And it wasn't like that for me. I struggled a little bit at the beginning, but I was really, really determined, and I wasn't going to stop until I succeeded. And so eventually I hit, and then I started hitting more, and I had a home run deal, and it was great. And I totally proved to myself, and more importantly, I proved to my spouse that this business is legit. And I started generating a deal flow, but I kind of found that I was plateauing. And there's a difference between having a regular deal flow that's generating some income and achieving that dream that we had when we first came in the business. And I was at this point where, okay, it works, but I was far from where my dream was. And I wasn't quite sure how to get from here to there. I mean, I had 20 years in the corporate world, but it's an interesting thing that working in big companies is not the same as being an entrepreneur, and the requirements are actually different. Fortunately for me, I have a lot of friends that were very successful entrepreneurs that I was able to latch onto and create my brain trust. And it's great because when you have really good friends, they speak to you. I'll say it as men speak to men. They're like, you're an idiot. What are you doing? You're going to, they don't mince any words. It's like, you're an idiot. So, but then they come in, they give me some really great advice. And it was that advice on how not to run a land business, just how to run a business, how to take an entrepreneurial idea and grow it into a thriving enterprise. That was the missing nugget that I needed, or nuggets that I needed, in order to get past that plateau that I had gotten into a higher growth pattern. I do remember, although, one person who actually was from my corporate experience. My last job, I was a chief marketing officer for a large media company out of London. And the first person I ever hired while I was in that job was a PhD data scientist. And people thought I was crazy because they're like, oh, yeah, you should get some young buck out of Stanford or MIT. And I got this woman who was a grandmother. And they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, trust me, she's the one. She still is a good friend of mine. She's a tremendous intellectual talent. She's been in that industry for so many years. She knew everything. She knew everybody. And she had 5 times more energy than 5 20-year-olds put together. She was an amazing woman, still is an amazing woman. And one of the things that she taught me was this concept, which I think is so important. You got to think big, start small, and iterate fast. I got to say that again because it's just so powerful. You got to think big, but you got to start small, and then you got to iterate fast. And
so true.
And this gets to a really important business concept. I was a product manager. I brought a lot of products to the market in my career. And in the old way of doing things, you would go out and you do a bunch of market research and you figure out what the market wants, and then you go build it, and then you have a plan and say, okay, this is going to be my phase 1 product, and this is going to be the features I'm going to put into my phase 2, and these are going to be the features I'm going to put in my phase 3. Well, the truth of the matter is, that assumes that A, you're a good researcher, and B, that the research is actually telling you what the market wants, which is not always the case. And then they came up with this concept called agile product development. In agile, you create something called the minimal viable product. So you don't create, your vision of the end product. You create what's called the minimal viable product. Enough to get out there and get people's attention, certainly the early adopters. And then you create this process of constant feedback from the marketplace, and you let the market tell you what you need to add at every step of the way. That is the iterative process. And I started applying that in land as well too, rather than assuming that I knew what I was doing or I took a course and I'm just applying it. And I did apply a lot of those learnings, but what I did is I would apply a learning But I made sure that in my process, I was getting feedback from the marketplace, and I was letting the marketplace tell me where I needed to go next. If I go into a county, for example, and I'm just not getting the response I want, I can keep hammering that county and spend a ton of money on mailing. But what I really want to do is I want to understand why it's not working. Is it not working because my pricing is wrong? Is it not working because my letter is wrong? Or is it not working because it's just not a good county for land? I want to figure that out, and I want to make quick changes. And that's the iterative process. And if I do that, think big, and I start small, I get the feedback, and I keep iterating, I will achieve that vision.
Absolutely. No, it's very important. I think coming back to that framework, and I really like that. When I heard that statement from you, think big, start small, iterate fast, it really made a big impact on my thinking, on my mindset, because, and I apply this towards a lot of people that I've seen in the business, a lot of people that I've coached. When people get stuck or they have a bad mailer that doesn't perform or whatnot, they get down, they tend to want to quit. Not everybody, but you have to keep going. You got to make an iteration, try again, make an iteration, try again. And I always like to tell people as well, look, if you are just starting, or if you've done a few deals, but you've not been able to keep that momentum up, like you get a little bit and then you fall. You get a little bit and then you fall. I tell them, look, go back to A plus B equals C. Go back to the foundation of what you learned. Some people, you can iterate too fast, is what I'm saying. And you don't want to go beyond your core principles that you've learned. If somebody who's been successful at the business has taught you something on how to do it that way. Focus, right? Follow one course until you're successful. And then as you are learning, oh, this is a good possibility. This technique, I might change this up a little bit. Then you try stuff. You make small iterations and see what it changes, but you don't abandon your entire business. You keep that business principle, focus, and iterate and test.
Right. And I think this is something you've taught me, is make sure that when you're iterating on that which is successful. There's no point in iterating on what's failing.
Don't reinvent the wheel.
Exercise it like a cancer. Focus on what's working and then iterate. And one of the things I've always loved following you in your business is you're always trying new things. It doesn't matter how successful you've become. You're always saying, but let me try it a little differently. Oh, I just got this letter in the mail from a land investor trying to buy one of my properties. And boy, I really like what he did in this letter over here. Let me try to tweak my letter and maybe do an A/B test. I'll do so many letters with my current letter, and I'll do so many with this modified letter, and I'll see which one works better. And so you're always trying to figure out how to tweak it and make, build on your current success to be even more successful.
Don't abandon what's working, but tweak. Test it over here. You've got one known working thing going down this path. And then, yes, like you said, do an A/B test.
I knew you were a tweaker.
Yeah. and we can always learn from each other for sure.
Hey folks, my name is David Van Steenkiste, and I've been a real estate investor for over 10 years. I've used lots of different tools, but none of them has done for my business what LandSpeed does. LandSpeed covers every step in the land investing process, from ordering mailing lists to marketing, sales, and closing the deal. What I really like, though, is it anticipates my needs. When I think, oh, I wish I had a quick and easy way to evaluate return on investment on a potential property, look no further, LandSpeed does it. If I want to edit a deed after LandSpeed creates it, it can do that too. Most systems just stick you with a PDF that's uneditable, and you got to go back into the system and edit the fields and do whatever you need to do, and it's a real pain in the rear end. LandSpeed simplifies it. If I want to send 1 or 5 or even 40 neighbor letters at the click of a button, bam, LandSpeed does it. But even with all that inherent capability, you get access to LandSpeed Community, you get weekly mastermind calls, and you get the best mailing rates in the business with no volume commitment, which is freaking awesome. Because if I just want to pop one contract to somebody, I don't have to pay $1.50. I still pay the bargain basement rate. And on top of that, customer service is stellar, quick, and they just do a great job. I've been very, very happy, very pleased with it. And look, I've been running my business on LandSpeed for over 2 years. So take it from me. If you're serious about your land business, then check out LandSpeed at facebook.com/landbizautomation. That's land, B-I-Z automation. And if you want $100 off, tell them you heard it from me, David Van Steenkiste, on the Land.MBA podcast.
What's the structure of our podcast going to be?
So what we're going to do is each podcast, we're going to take one business concept, a very specific business concept, and we're going to really explore it and get down to, the brass tacks to understand it. Maybe it's going to be about how to size a market, or how to segment a market, or how to close in sales, or how to build an organization. Whatever the topic is, we're going to explore it. And then once we've explored it, we're going to take it and we're going to apply it to the land investing business. Because we don't want to just be theoretical here. We want to apply it to everybody's business so that you can walk away with some actionable advice on how to improve your business and grow your business.
I agree.
And then every once in a while, we're also going to do interviews with either successful business people or successful land investors. But we're going to mix those two things together to provide as much value as we can. And I think a key something you mentioned earlier that I think we really want to hone in on is we're not going to hold anything back. It's the good, the bad, and the ugly. There is so much good, but let's not be unrealistic about it. There's no such thing as an entrepreneurial venture that goes from here to here in a straight line. It's a very jagged line. Now, let's hope the trend is right, but it's a jagged line. I have moments of incredible elation and moments of incredible dejection because it's, you go through a period where it seems like it's not working. And then suddenly everything turns around and now I'm elated again and I can't believe it's working. It's an emotional roller coaster.
I like to use the analogy walking up a flight of stairs playing with a yo-yo. The trend stays up, but you're playing with that yo-yo the whole way up.
Yes, and I am the yo-yo. I'm not the guy doing the yo-yoing. I am the yo-yo. So let's be honest with ourselves. I mean, that is the reality of building a business, and you have to be able to fight through the down times, and you have to be able to get the most you can out of those up times so that you can keep that trend going right. And we're going to talk about all of that. We're not going to just talk the good stuff and paint a rosy picture that's not exactly a picture of reality. And we're not going to hold anything back either. I mean, we're going to get into the topic. The purpose of this is to help people succeed, plain and simple.
You mean to get that next nugget, I don't need to sign up for the $30,000 coaching course?
It's not necessary. We're going to give. And if you want to have that one-on-one relationship with a coach, that's great. I think, that would help anybody to be able to say, hey, this is the specific problem I'm dealing with right now. And to have somebody who's got the been there, done that, can walk you through it and help you avoid big mistakes. I think that's great. But the purpose of this podcast is not simply to market another service. It's to provide value to the community. So we don't need to go too much further on this first introductory podcast, because the next one, we're going to really start getting into it and we're going to start chewing on some business topics.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about Land.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, Land.MBA. See you next time on the Land.MBA podcast.